Welcome to the Heart for God podcast. With many years of experience pastoring and helping to start churches, Dr. Jim Townsley has some practical and biblical advice that can be a great help to you and your ministry. On this podcast, Dr. Townsley and other guests with special expertise cover a variety of topics. His goal is to help you lead your church to be a healthy, strong, and balanced ministry, and for your family to be happy, healthy, and living for the Lord.
Thanks for joining the podcast today. Hope you're having a good day in the ministry, serving the Lord. It's certainly a blessing to serve God, to be working for Him and making your life count, making a difference in other people's lives. Today I want to talk about the bottom line, style versus substance. I think as a young preacher, we're often influenced by things that appear to be really exciting and good. It's the shiny object that gets our attention. The style, boy, that looks great. I'll try that. As a young preacher, there were things that caught my attention, and I thought, wow, that's pretty good. I like that. That looks like it'd be fun, or that looks like it would be effective. But when it comes down to it, I went to some workshops, seminars, some of them large meetings. And at the moment, it sounded like this is really great. Then I get back home and I start thinking about it, and I thought, what is that really going to do? What is that going to accomplish? And the bottom line is what is really important. Did it accomplish what you thought it was going to accomplish? Just as an example, there was a huge conference that was held all over the country, and it was a big operation, and the main emphasis was on family. And yet, in the end, the people that really bought into that have more problems with their family than anyone else. And I think it's there's a need for discernment in the ministry, that you may see something that is flashy, exciting, just looks good, but you really need to sit back and ask yourself this question: what will that really accomplish? If I spend my time doing this, is it going to pay dividends? Now, what it comes down to then in your church, if you're a pastor and you're trying to build a church and build people, to me, because I travel quite a bit now, and I ask this question: how many people are sitting in front of me that were saved through this ministry by the activities of this church, by their outreach? And sometimes there are good churches that, they have some great leaders, a good pastor, they have great facility, but the bottom line is they're not really reaching their community. Most of the people are transfers. There was a missionary friend of mine who's with the Lord today, but he was a missionary in Ireland, and his home church was in the South in Tennessee. So he had built a church in Ireland, about 35 people. Now in Ireland, the work is not easy there. These were all people he had won to the Lord. There were no transfers. And these people were growing, and he formed an indigenous church, self-supporting church there. But he came back home on furlough, and he came to this home church. The pastor asked how I was doing. He told him, well, we're running about 35 people. And the pastor looked at him and he said, that's it? That's all you have? And then he felt pretty bad about maybe he hadn't been much of a success, but the pastor said, we've been through 3 building programs since you've been gone, and we're running over 500 people. Well, that was pretty depressing. And as the conversation went on, time went on, that what this missionary found out is that church did not, you could put on one hand how many people they had won to the Lord. It was all transfers. And sometimes, particularly in the South, people go to what's shiny and new, the newest thing, and they run from one church to another. That, oh, do you hear what's going on next door at this other town? Let's go over there. For me, that's not what I'm intending to do in the ministry. We're not just trying to build on some other man's work. I remember a preacher of the past, he said, we're to be fishers of men, not keepers of the aquarium. And so the bottom line is, are you reaching people? And let me just say, no matter how strong your soul-winning emphasis is, it's hard to get people saved. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way. You could have some famous person come to your church and say, hey, we have this person. Everybody knows who they are, and that's going to attract a crowd to come. And let me tell you, those people will leave when that service is over and not be back. It takes effort, time, communication. I mean, just think about Jesus and his disciples. He spent 3 years with them, day after day, day and night. They saw him as he prayed. They saw how he reacted to people that were outcast. They heard his teaching. It was an intense program of 3 years, spending time with them. That is unavoidable in a ministry, in my opinion. You have to spend time with people. It's a slow process. But let me tell you what I think a church should look like, in most cases at least. You should look out over the auditorium at any service, Sunday morning, Sunday night, or Wednesday night, and you should see people that are sitting in the pew, and you would say to yourself, that person just got saved last week. Oh, that family over there is new. They just got saved last year. There's a single young person. They're going to college, but they're growing, and they just got saved a few months ago. You should be able to look over the auditorium and at the congregation and say, here are people that we've been reaching on purpose. We've had an influence in their life, led them to Christ. They're sitting in the pew, they're learning, and they're growing. Now, if you have people saved that don't come to your church, that's great. But when you're building a church, you should be reaching people that actually come to church, that become a part of the church, that become leaders in the church. And sometimes we avoid the most obvious things. Are we really praying and working with our families that they reach their children? Is the pastor really reaching his children and discipling them and preparing them to serve the Lord? What about the people that walk in the door that are just came from who knows where? They show up, they visit, they're looking for something. Are we really concentrating on them? And if we have a database of visitors, are we really praying over them, working with them? Do we look at the people in our church and say, they have friends they're praying for? Then I'm going to visit some of them. There are people that we have connection with. This woman's husband is not saved. This man's wife, she's not saved. Are we really praying over them, working with them? Are you getting together with them, spending time with them? It takes time and effort. Here is my analogy, I guess, if I could call it that. When a church reaches, say every person in the church reaches one person, and they discipled that person. You might say, well, that's not a big deal. If that really happened, it would get the attention of all churches in America. They'd say, what are they doing over there? Every family reached a family. Every person reached a person. That church has doubled in 1 year. It wouldn't be from some promotion of a guy jumping out of an airplane. It wouldn't be camel rides like, unfortunately, we did our first anniversary. It would be personal contact with people, getting to know them, spending time with them, getting the Word of God in their lives. This is not fancy. It's not shiny. I mean, this is layman's work. This is blue-collar work in the ministry. It takes time to do that. The flashy things, the strobe lights and the rock music or contemporary music, the setup of the church that you think, oh, if we change the platform and make a performance and entertainment, that there's no shortcut to reach people. It takes the power of God. The gospel is what does it, but we have to be a witness and we have to disciple people. And we are to make disciples of people, reach them the gospel, and teach them how to live the Christian life. So there are shiny things that are alluring. That we look at the church next door and we think, or the next town over, and we say, wow, they're growing. What are they doing? Well, be careful. Our goal is not to get somebody else's fish. Our goal is to go get our own. And our goal is not just to build a church. Our goal is to build people. See people saved. Takes work. It's hard. Prayer, witnessing, handing out tracts. It's the pounding of the gospel. That is what we have to do. And if we do that, and we really have that as our goal, we're more likely to reach that goal. But if we get detoured and we think, well, if I get rid of the pews, I have chairs, and we get rid of the choir, we'll have people, praise groups stand in the front. That to me, it is so shallow that we have to be able to distinguish and discern the bottom line. And I've seen some of these contemporary churches, and we've visited through areas starting a fundamental church, and there's all these big churches in the area, and you start knocking on doors and meeting some of these people. And the sad reality is you can't figure out if they're saved or not. They can't give a clear testimony. They talk like they're a Christian, and, maybe they are saved. I don't know. But they're certainly shallow that they can't give a clear testimony of how they got saved. You say, well, they got a big church, a mega church. Is that really our goal? Or is our goal to reach our community and truly make a difference in their lives, where people turn from their sin, get right with God, restore their home and family, raise their children in that environment where it is a spiritual environment, growing in the Lord, getting things right? I mean, that's hard work. And I think in the end, one day we'll find out, but in the end, I think the bottom line is, did we work for ourselves? Did we follow some fairy tale? Did we follow the wrong direction? Or did we just buckle down and obey what the Bible's very clear about and spend time with people, reaching them with the gospel? Well, I hope some of those thoughts are provoking to you today, and that it might help you in some way concentrate your ministry so that you can see that fruit. It's not easy. It's hard work. Some places are more difficult than others. There's no doubt about it. But you need to realize what you have to do to reach those people in your community, to get them saved, help them to get grounded in the Word of God, and become a servant of Christ. Well, it took Jesus 3 years to train his disciples, and one of them didn't do so well. I don't know that we can do any better than what he did. It just takes time. So take the time. Don't be deterred. Be discerning about those things that are flashy, that church that seems like they're doing great, and stick to what you know the Bible teaches.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, consider sharing it with a friend. You can also follow at Dr. Townsley on Twitter or on Facebook at Jim Townsley.